Nobody's talking about this number one killer. The US Department of Justice wrote in the Office of Justice Programs in 1979 that stress is the number one killer. They cited the relationship between stress and heart attacks, asthma, high blood pressure, ulcers have all been well documented. They acknowledge that stress also inhibits the body's immune system to function and is also a factor in causing tuberculosis and cancer. They go on to acknowledge that stress was a functional tool for us as humans in primal times when we needed to fight off the saber-toothed tiger. That cortisol and adrenaline, that stress response allowed us the strength and energy to either fight off the tiger or run. The report indicated that, of course, the hormones are still being released. However, us modern beings are not moving. We're staying there and taking the stress. That's why we have gyms and sports to exercise our bodies. Humans got inventive and found ways that we could still release these stress hormones innately. We got creative with these ideas, which is why I guess men's sports are so popular. Watching them allows us to release stress too. We have these mirror neurons in our brain that receives an understanding of someone's physical movements in our own bodies. Of course, these sports would involve winning, which I guess is the replacement for killing the saber-toothed tiger. We're not doing anything with this cortisol or adrenaline, which ties into the other risk factor, which is what I'm doing right now, which is sitting while we're stressed, hunched over a computer, sitting at our desks on phone calls and Zoom meetings. They say that sitting is the new smoking. Later, they learned that, smoking is a huge killer. And it really is, right? Which is why it's been outcasted. But meanwhile, sitting, we've all been told, take a seat, relax, sit down, whether it's at work or at home, both is just as bad. And people were smoking because of what? Stress. People are now sitting down and relaxing because of stress. So this report cites the antidote to relaxation, or rather, the antidote is relaxation. Okay, the antidote to our physical stress is relaxation, but physical relaxation through exercise and breathing techniques, not sitting. Although meditation is an intentional sitting, and the body needs to be positioned properly so that there's a flow of circulation that's taking place. And the other piece of relaxation is mental relaxation. And that mental relaxation through our changes in attitude, through our changes in the way that we think. So I know how it cites physical, like this report, it's citing physical and mental relaxation. And I really like this because this mental relaxation is interesting because we need to relax our minds of all the negative thinking. Negative thinking takes up more energy than positive or even just neutral thinking. And that cortisol and adrenaline needs to use up energy somehow. So we try to think our way through stress, or we try to avoid it by using alcohol and drugs. Since most of our society is unaware of how mindfulness works, we try to use our minds to cope with stress by thinking our way out of it. But overthinking and intrusive thoughts repeat over and over, and it's exhausting, and we can't sleep with all this mental energy that we're using up. Around 60% of us are not getting regular energy exercise. And I would guess that of those 40% that are exercising, But they're not adjusting their mindset. They're not adjusting their attitudes. And so the negative thinking is still there enough that they complain a lot. And I suspect they may be exercising while also on the weekends engaging in substance misuse to cope with the negative attitude instead of getting into the core of their problem, which is their view of their self in this world that we live in and others, of course, which means that if you minus all those people that are exercising but still don't have the right mindset or are using substances, then we have about 80% of this population that is stressed. And remember, what nobody is talking about is this number one killer, which is stress. So we got 20% of the population that's actually making a serious effort to embrace what it means to be a human being, that is. We're supposed to be getting smarter. We're actually becoming more unhealthy. We are unable to make decisions. We feel pressure to perform and pressure to be perfect. And that's just nowhere to be. And now we've got alcohol that's known as the most dangerous drug, and it's the most readily available along with tobacco to cope with stress. There's obviously very poor coping mechanisms that we're being given to deal with stress. We also are not a society that's built for vacation. What if everyone took the day off? What would happen? Our world would shut down, aside from what's not automated, right? We would be in the dark. And that is what we're afraid of by slowing down, is that it's going to leave us in the dark. And fear, this fear, the nervous system's natural response of fight or flight, is not being used in the proper way, because there are positive traits of that fight or flight response. So changing our attitude is when we're able to be in the present moment without judgment, which then allows our physical bodies to relax, knowing that we're safe from the tigers. We breathe, and it sends a message to the brain that it's safe for us to be calm. But you have to reach for it. You have to make that conscious effort to tell yourself that you're stressed. First, you have to know that this is not a normal way of living. And how to know when you're stressed? Well, it seems like we have to spell this out for people, because more of what you've been experiencing as stress has become normalized. It's become a normalized way of feeling within your body. But it's not normal to feel muscle aches and tension on a regular basis. It's not normal to be irritable all the time and to anger easily. These are signs of stress. When you're impatient with family and coworkers and clients, when you're not eating properly, either you're overeating or you're undereating, when you're having minimal social interactions and you're isolating yourself, and when you're having trouble sleeping. We all need to address and accept a different way of thinking. We all need to adopt a new dogma, a new lifestyle, a new world. We have to let go of attachment to things. We have to let all of these things that will keep us safe go. We think that all these things that are keeping us safe are making us feel better, but they're actually adding to our stress. The more we have, the more we risk losing. None of this earth, none of anything that's here was really yours anyway. It's all just an illusion of things that you have gravitated towards your center of being to have all these things. These are things that you're vibrationally attracted to in your life, given the path that you're on at any current moment. And you can accept that these things are all just an illusion. And the real things that really matter and that actually matter in this life is how to be, not how to do and to have and to get, but how to be. Just be a human. The thing to master is how to be in the moment without judgment. Because this is what this life is right now. It's not later or yesterday or tomorrow or next year. And so being in the moment without judgment, that is mindfulness. And when you can just be without a car. You can just be without a husband or a wife. You can be without children. You can be with or without all of the amenities of this modern world. Yes, we need water and shelter and basic things for our survival. We can figure that out. We can continue to be. And we're so afraid that we're going to lose it all, that what I have won't be mine anymore. But remember, it was never yours to begin with. What is yours is just this physical body. And we all need to admit this to ourselves. No one is exempt from the stress of living as a human on the planet these days. It's inconceivable for any human to thrive so long as they are in a state of stress. But look at us. We're all doing it, but we're also all dying from it. So we have to be accepting of this reality that we have created. We have to accept this reality that we've created in order for us to actually take ourselves seriously. If we want a life of peace and calm, because that's the opposite of stress and anxiety, right? Peace and calm. This is what everyone says they want. Inner peace. Yet, what are we cultivating as a society of stress? COVID is the production. COVID is the product of stress in our society. We have a scarcity mindset on this planet. People are hoarding money while others are hoarding food. COVID manifested the scarcity mindset in all of us, except for the ones that were already living with an abundance mindset. We are the ones who were not the first to run out for a vaccine. We are not the ones hoarding the toilet paper or complaining about how hard these lockdowns and global shutdowns were on us, because we were the ones who are already unattached to outcomes or consequences. Radical acceptance is one of those things for us to personally change. You're not able to personally change external forces, and you have to have a level of radical acceptance about that. It's an important attitude to adopt if you want to survive. Otherwise, if you think that you can make changes to all of these external things, that's very stressful. That's a lot to take on. So it's about being able to change your thinking about the problems in your life that are causing you all this stress. So instead of adopting the hoarding scarcity mindset for survival, this is why so many people are saddened when someone dies, except in tragic, accidental, and unexpected deaths. That one is still a little bit different for me, but our karma is our own doing. If I lead a life of stress, then my body tires and it needs to sleep. And if I don't give it the rest, that physical and mental relief, then over time, my body's going to go for a permanent rest. And I'm not just talking about resting at night in bed. I'm talking also about rest from stress. Time in nature, taking vacation, not listening to or watching the news, not taking in violence or disturbing images. We need rest from stress. And those things in our world that are on the televisions and on our screens are contributing to our level of stress, because they're messages to make us afraid and to fear and to put us into the fight or flight mode. So everyone needs to adopt a new way of being. We're never going to be able to live up to our truest human form of being a human. And instead, we're busy being a human doing instead of a human being.